Hello you lovely lot, my name is Max, welcome back to my YouTube channel and another Nottingham Forest video. Yes, we are back with some more tactics and transfers today, discussing a rumoured move for Nigerian International and Rangers midfielder Joe Aribo. The club are yet to agree any kind of deal and there's not really any kind of figure attached to it, but it's believed we could get him for a fee in the region of £8 to £10 million. Of course, we will be talking about his background as a player and how he's fit in this Rangers side, both for Steven Gerrard and Giovanni von Bronckhorst, and of course how he would fit for Steve Cooper for Nottingham Forest in the Premier League this season. And of course, before we get into this, don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, ringing that notification bell. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, within about 50 subs of reaching that milestone, so it would make my day if you would sub to the channel and help us reach that huge milestone. And of course, let me know in the comments what you want to see me do when we hit that milestone, of course. 25-year-old Joe Aribo was born in Camberwell in London and came through the academy of Staines Town, from whom he would make around 22 league appearances before joining Charlton Athletic at the age of 19 in 2015. He would sign an initial 1-year deal before quickly putting pen to paper on a 3-year extension, which would see him make around 100 appearances in all competitions for the Addicts, being promoted to the Championship through the playoffs in his final season. Following this, he would move north of the border, joining the project with Steven Gerrard at Rangers, where he would make around 150 appearances, scoring 26 goals in the process, winning the league in 2021 and of course reaching the Europa League final last season. And the Nigerian International would register 9 goals and 7 assists in 57 club games last season, making 70 appearances for club and country over the course of the last season, which by some reports is the most by a single player in Europe this season. And of course, with all these minutes, it's seen him play a wide variety of positions for Rangers, the likes of striker, winger, attacking midfielder, central midfielder, and even briefly as a defensive midfielder. However, he's seen the majority of his minutes over this season and in general over the course of his Rangers career as either an attacking midfielder or as a winger, and that's where really we're going to be comparing him and contrasting him with his statistics. His numbers are particularly solid, especially when it comes to his chance creation, registering in the top 3% of attacking midfielders and wingers in Europe for the amount of expected assists generated per 90 minutes at 0.37, and even his actual assist numbers are pretty good, 0.25 assists per 90 minutes for Rangers in the Europa League last season, good enough for the top 30% of players in Europe for his position. And he also creates around 2 chances per match for his teammates, which is good enough for the 5th most in the Rangers squad at the moment. Impressive considering the amount of positions he's ended up playing this season. However, it's his defensive numbers for me that really sort of caught the eye, and I think these are a product of the amount of positions that he's been playing for Rangers. He's in the top 1% of European players for aerial duels won, the top 5% for clearances and interceptions, and the top 25% of players in Europe for his position for blocks, tackles, and pressures attempted, suggesting that he is a very extremely busy midfielder who is able to do the creative work but also chips in a fair amount defensively. However, in possession he isn't really the strongest, ranking in the bottom 20% of players for progressive carries and the bottom half of progressive passes per 90 minutes completed. Now, this could be a product of the amount of positions he's played. He's obviously being asked to do quite a lot of different specific roles, but I would suggest this is probably the weakest area of his game, and if we were to sign him, I certainly wouldn't want him to be picking up the ball and trying to spray it over the top, because he hasn't got the best range of passing. Overall, Aribo is a player who offers quite a lot going forward, and his extremely lanky frame and press resistance seems to complement that technical quality and creativity that he has pretty well. That being said, I do have some concerns, particularly about his ability in possession of the ball, but I do think these can be paved over or at least avoided or coached well by Steve Cooper. I think he's that good of a coach that he can avoid these issues. With that being said, let's start talking about how he fits into this Rangers side. We're specifically going to be talking about Steven Gerrard and his Rangers side simply because that's where he's played the majority of his minutes for his Rangers career, but we will briefly talk about the latter stages of last season as well at the end of this section. So we're back at the tactics board, and as you can see in the blue, we do have Rangers. And when Steven Gerrard first arrived, he was focused on playing his team in a 4-3-3 shape. Quite similar actually to how Liverpool play under Jurgen Klopp, using the ball in these wide areas to create these rotations between the fullbacks. So we've got maybe this sort of system with a triangle maybe the forward comes inside, the midfielder goes wide, and the left back particularly could go further forward. Essentially, we're creating these passing and positional triangles in wider areas, which helps progress the ball. It helps move the opposition around like chess pieces, so then attacking opportunities can be created. We see this most often at Liverpool, obviously with Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold and whoever the right side midfielder is. They do often quite rotate in those positions, and we saw that quite a lot in the early stages of his Rangers career. However, this formation does create problems when teams decide to sit deep. So for example, the team in the red here is going to go sit back in a defensive mid and low block. Obviously, when you're playing so wide, it kind of limits the amount of times that you're going to get the ball in this sort of zone. So it kind of frequented the issue that they weren't going to get a lot of chances. They struggled to break down the oppositions when they were playing in this way. So some tweaks were made by Steven Gerrard. And the way he tweaked this was by moving these forwards inside to play almost like wide number 10s, dropping the midfield back a little bit to sort of draw the opposition out to create more vertical space between the lines for the opposition, and this enabled the opportunity for these wide number 10s to find pockets of space to pick the ball up and create opportunities from. Obviously, Morelos, as well as a forward, is someone who likes to come deep and receive the ball to feet to help create problems for the opposition. And obviously, the kind of forwards that he deployed in the front line were players who like the ball to feet, who can create opportunities and operate within these pockets of space and drop the midfield back so that then you've got more space to play within. So our man Aribo would predominantly play on the right hand side of this attack. He's a left footer, he'll cut inside on this left hand side, and his main role in this team was as a really good sort of press resistant extra midfielder, extra attack. Obviously he's a really good creator, but his main asset is his ability to receive the ball under pressure and deal with it quite effectively, predominantly on this right hand side. He could also do it in a deeper position. Say we're going for something more resembling maybe like a 4-2-3-1 here. He could play a little bit in a deeper position where he's receiving the ball, spreading it out a little bit, not too adventurously, shuttling the ball more often than not, but receive it under pressure and be able to resist the press. That was his main asset. However, since Van Bronckhorst became the manager of Rangers after obviously Steven Gerrard went to Aston Villa, the shape has been a little less rigid. There's less reliance on the system and a little bit more reliance on individual quality of players. And since this change, Rangers have played a back five. They played more defensive and attacking systems as they tried to implement a more man-oriented press. And this has enabled someone like Joe Aribo to play in more deeper positions. He's, for example, played as the midfield 10 in something like a 4-2-3-1, as we can see here. He's also played in deeper positions in something like a 4-3-1-2. He's maybe played off the right or the left of this system, again in a slightly more reserved position, and I have a feeling that's probably why his defensive numbers compared to other players of that attacking midfield position are pretty supercharged. So in terms of this Forest side, I can definitely see Aribo's versatility being a pretty big asset for the side, being able to play fairly effectively in a deeper position as a number 10 or as a wider player. But that being said, I don't know if I would want to necessarily play him in that midfield 2 with Ryan Yates. I think they're both too limited in terms of progressing the ball, in terms of getting the ball forward, that I would maybe be a bit worried that we'd maybe get a bit stagnant in that area. His press resistance is fantastic and he obviously offers quite a lot defensively, but I'm not sure he's adventurous enough for that position. When it goes to number 10, I think I would prefer Gibbs White in that position, or at least he would be the priority signing for me in that position. And in terms of the front line, he's not really going to get a main shouting over the likes of Brennan and Awoniyi, obviously, when the season kicks off. So I do think he's more a squad option than somebody to come in and make an immediate impact in this squad. However, as a squad option, I think he's an absolutely viable option for this team. Against more aggressive pressing sides like Brighton, Leeds or Southampton, I think he could do a really good job playing in a slightly more advanced position where he can receive the ball, shruggle off the press from the opposition and help us transition quickly on the attack. I think that's probably where he's going to be at his best. I think his creativity as well is a huge asset for us. If we need a goal, someone to come off the bench who we know can create chances, again, it's a huge asset to have. So yeah, overall, I like the prospect of signing Joe Aribo. I wouldn't make him a priority, getting the likes of Gibbs White and Williams over the line, getting a left wing back in, because that's something we desperately need and we're not really linked to too many players for that position. I would then say let's maybe look at him as a squad option after the fact and Beyond that, I don't think it's a particularly bad signing. I think he offers a lot creatively. I think he offers a decent amount defensively. And I think it's a press-resistant, attacking midfielder. He'd be a really good squad option for Nottingham Forest. And for a fee in the region of £10 million, I think that offers really good value for money. But of course, let me know in that comment section down below what you think of the potential signing of Joe Aribo. He is a player who has been linked to the club quite heavily, as he has been to Aston Villa, obviously linking up with his former Rangers manager Steven Gerrard. And I think he would be a tidy piece of business, but obviously isn't the priority, and I'm sure a lot of you will agree with me when I say that. And whilst you're down there, don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, turning on the notification bell so you don't miss any more of these tactics and transfers videos. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, Reds. I will catch you later.